Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the National Football League.
Who's also my buddy. Chase, how you doing, my friend?
Great. Excellent. Wonderful. Grand. How are you?
Good. Love when there's a huge slate of games that have tons of action and things to talk about. Obviously, we now know Tommy Cutlets is back. Daniel Jones has officially been benched. That's the big news swirling around the NFL. Not really that big because we knew it was coming, but certainly a big move. Caleb Williams looked good. He looked good.
Finally.
I know. Gotten a little of the coordinator bump, so we're going to talk about all of that. And of course, the Bills, the Steelers, the Packers, just absolutely lights out. We have so much that we want to dive into, so much we want to get to. I also want to get your thoughts on some of the stuff that you saw on Sunday that is just kind of picking at you and some of the things that you really love. So let's just get right to this thing. Let's get to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. All right, so there is a lot of news swirling around today. So we're going to do a bit of a heat check. So I know you're not Italian and you probably don't use cherry peppers on anything, but I do.
I love cherry peppers.
You do?
Oh, I love them. Jimmy John Sandwiches has them, and you can put little cherry peppers on there.
Oh,
just a little bit of spice to it. Love that.
I love it. You know what's funny? I never enjoyed spicy peppers or anything until I was pregnant. And now, I mean, I'm not pregnant now, but it's almost like I discovered them.
Thanks for clarifying that.
I had like some craving and now I love them. So I thought we would take our love for our cherry peppers here and sort of rate the topics in the what I'm hearing section here in terms of like, this is spicy, this is hot, this is like and this is just vanilla bean. This is just bleh, you know? So let's start with the Giants. All right. So I feel like we saw this coming. Daniel Jones has had a hard year. He's tough. He doesn't have a great offensive line. We know the issues that the New York Giants have, and the New York Giants had to make an organizational decision here as they're coming off the bye week of what are we going to do, because Daniel Jones is not the answer, and they made it official. They are going to bench him, and that closes the book on Daniel Jones in New York. All right, so with all this news swirling around the New York Giants, we thought we would bring in our Giants beat reporter, Dan Duggan, who's always on the ground with the team, giving us the latest. So, Dan, you knew this was coming. You wrote about it last week. You said the Daniel Jones chapter has closed in New York, so the decision has finally been made to bench him. Not only bench him, but to make him the third-string quarterback, which tells you their plans here in the future, which is basically just put him on ice. It's over for Daniel Jones. So my first question for you is, what is next for this franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I was ahead of the curve. I benched him during that Panthers game. Brian Daboll didn't agree. But after he threw that interception, the first one in the red zone, I was like, that's enough. Pull him. And I was proven wrong. I was a little premature on that. But yeah, certainly no surprise. Where do they go from there? They tried to recapture all that Tommy DeVito magic from last year, I guess. I mean, 7 games is a long time to just kind of get through. Now, it was necessary to pull the Band-Aid off here with Daniel Jones. The performance speaks for itself, 3-13 last 16 starts, but that injury guarantee was looming. So you couldn't justify continuing to run him out there. I mean, they got another home game. I think the place would revolt if they had to see him come out with the starters on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, listen, like the way Dave was talking about creating a spark with Tommy DeVito, look, we all kind of, we look back, we remember the celebration. It was fun. It wasn't particularly great play. I mean, if you really go back, they beat the Commanders, they beat the Patriots. He did have a good game on Monday Night Football against the Packers. The defense created 12 takeaways in those 3 wins. I'm not sure they're going to recreate that. So, I mean, they're in a bad spot. I mean, this is what happens when you give a quarterback $160 million and within not even 2 years, you're pulling the ripcord. Like, there's not usually going to be a good, soft landing spot. So they jumped over Drew Lock, went to Tommy. I mean, listen, I don't think it's going to end well. I mean, nothing has really gone well. It'd be a major reversal if somehow this is the button that they press that actually goes right.
So, Dan, why in the world? I went to Missouri. We're like the best journalism school in America. We got some good quarterbacks in the league, including your backup, Drew Lock. And Joe Schoen signs him to a $5 million deal. He's heavily incentive-laden to make some incentives if he plays. Why in the world did they not play this guy? Because clearly, I'm biased, but he gives them a better shot to win, right?
Yeah, I've been wrestling with that question. That's, one Daboll did not really provide a ton of insight into. My thought on it, and, you got to kind of put your tinfoil hat on when you cover this team because there's a lot of stuff going on kind of beneath the surface. I look at it like this. they signed him. And Tony DeVito was here on a minimum contract. You could have had the cheapest backup in the world. They obviously showed no interest in that. All spring, because I've seen this nonsense that Drew Lock was injured during camp. That's why they don't trust him. He was the first string quarterback all spring. Let's not forget that, because Daniel Jones was rehabbing. So he's got plenty of reps in this offense, throwing to Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, whatever. So let's throw that nonsense out the window. I think what happened is he played a little bit in the preseason and did get hurt and looked terrible. They put him in the fourth quarter of that Eagles game. It's 28-3. Now, you can speak to this. It's not a great situation to go in cold as a quarterback. But he looked terrible. I'm thinking that spooked them, and they said, if we go to our $5 million backup here, and he looks terrible, and again, they got Tampa on Sunday, and then they go to Dallas on Thursday. So you come into whoever it is for 2 games, one being on national stage. If he looks awful in those 2 games, what does that say about your evaluation skills, your coaching skills? At least with DeVito, they can sell this, the whole spark thing, and if it doesn't go well, it's like, all right, man, we took a shot. We couldn't rediscover the spark, and then we go to Lock. I think they're just trying to manage like self-preservation as best as possible. Again, because they're in a terrible spot. There's no good way out. But I have to think if they're spooked by how bad Lock has looked in these minimal opportunities, and they're just thinking if we put him out there, it could be disaster, and they can't afford a disaster with how tenuous things are getting.
Do you think they're tanking, though? Like, when I first saw it this morning, and it's the elephant in the room, no one ever wants to talk about it, and we talked about it right in the middle of it happening on our Fox show, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, tell me you're tanking without telling me you're tanking. Because Drew Lock is a legit quarterback. Not that Tommy DeVito's not. I agree there's some magic there to be had. But are they trying to like save their jobs by like, oh, we're going to draft Shadur Sanders, oh, we're going to draft Cam Ward? They're 2-8. Like that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I've been wrestling with it. But that's the one thing I can kind of safely rule out. That's just not how John Mara would ever sign off on operating. It's funny. I mean, I don't want to give you guys an explicit label on this podcast today, but he came down to the press room. Only time he's ever done it, my 9 years on the beat, 2017, after they benched Eli Manning and all that. And he said something about, I heard we're benching him because we're tanking. So that's bullshit. I'll never do that. So, like, again, that's as strongly as he can say it. He's not someone who just throws curses around in press conferences. So they're not going to actively tank. And listen, I think it'd be crazy, unless Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll have gotten, like, ironclad, you're coming back no matter what. I don't think they're in position to tank. If this thing goes 2-15, John Mara's vote of confidence from like week 7, that's not going to carry you through if he's sitting there these next 4 home games. They go 0-9 at home. They get swept in the division. All of these things are on the table. I can't see any way they would feel comfortable saying we're going to play the lesser quarterback. So that's why I go back to, I think they genuinely believe DeVito gives them a better chance to win. That might be flawed logic. Again, it's between 2 bad options in my opinion.
I'm gonna let you get out of here because Scoop City, we're not the vote of confidence podcast. We're the kiss of death the kiss of death podcast here. So we have a hard time believing that, despite the fact that John Mara said these guys are safe. What's just your gut feeling on what you think the future of these guys are, just from being around them and just knowing how this team operates?
Right. So I'll give my cop-out answer here. There's 7 weeks, a lot can change, because I know you mentioned this point yourself. I made it too. When he gave that vote of confidence, my mind immediately went back to 2017 when they made the unusual step. John Mara and Steve Tisch sent out a statement basically saying, no decision will be made till after the season. No more than 3 weeks later, Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese and his 2 Super Bowl rings were kicked to the curb. Joe Judge, it wasn't an official statement, but I believe it was Adam Schefter. It was a national insider reported on, I think, the second to last game, the morning of, the Sunday splash. Joe Judge is safe, he's not going anywhere. 2 weeks later, he's gone. So, I mean, I think we know you can't put too much stock in that. I definitely believe his statement when he said we're not making any changes in season. I mean, that would be pointless. The time to do it would have been the bye. That's past. There's nothing that can really happen over the next 7 weeks that result in getting fired in season. But he also said, I don't anticipate making any changes after the season. Now, that word there, anticipate, could be doing a lot of work, and he might also have not anticipated not winning another game after making that vote of confidence. So, again, that's why I say, everything's on the table. If you go 2-15, the locker room inevitably will, fall apart if that type of season unfolds. All those are the types of things that add up. So I think if they just can quietly stink and get to the finish line and be 5-12 and not have controversies, they'll probably bring him back because that's what John Mara's stated desire is to do. But if this thing goes off the rails, I don't think anybody's safe.
Thanks so much for joining Scoop City. I think we're all aligned here. I think we all are kind of calling it what it is, which is basically if it's really, really bad football over the next few weeks, I think this is just going to be a tough sell for ownership, knowing the direction that they want to take this thing to. So thanks so much for hanging out with us here on Scoop City.
Thanks, man.
So Chase, on our pepper scale, On our red pepper scale.
Yeah.
Give me a pepper. How many peppers are we talking about this news here that Daniel Jones is
I
now
mean,
on
it's
the
a
bench?
1 out of 4 peppers for me. This isn't that entertaining to me because, quite honestly, I don't really care about the Giants. And it's like, yeah, it would be 4 out of 4 if you play my guy Drew Lock, but you're playing Tommy Cutlets, so it gets a 1 out of 4. And quite honestly, if Dan Duggan would have told us a little bit more about the head coach GM situation, it might be a 4 out of 4, but we don't know yet if they're going to make it, if they're not. So 1 out of 4 for me.
Yeah, in light of Tommy DeVito, them choosing to go with Tommy DeVito, I think is 4 peppers for me.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chicken Parm. By the way, also delicious cherry peppers on a chicken parm.
I was going to say, can you put them on chicken cutlets? Like,
Absolutely.
Tommy
And look, the
DeVito.
Giants could use that. They could use a little spice on their offense. You know what, though, Chase? You look at this big picture, though, and there's really only 2 ways this thing is going to go. He's going to give them the spark, and they're going to be decent, and who knows where they're going to fall in terms of the draft pick. And maybe that saves Brian's job if they're able to go out there and be solid.
Listen to what you just said. You just said, and the Giants believe that Tommy Cutlets can save Brian Daboll's job. That's how crazy the New York Giants are this year. Tommy Cutlets has to play well, and Dan Duggan said the same thing. For him not to lose his job, what are we doing?
I know.
It sounds
I know at this
crazy.
point. And, okay, so then let me ask you this, though. Let's say Brian Daboll gets fired, and now this coaching cycle is starting again. Yeah. And I tell you there's a coach out there that is considering bringing Brian Daboll on for an OC. What's your immediate reaction to that?
I think Brian Daboll is going to get another job. I think the reason Brian Daboll sucked is because Daniel Jones has sucked. Look, I know there's been other issues, but man, I am a big believer still in Brian Daboll. Hot take or not, like I think he can coach.
No, so do I. I think Brian Daboll is an amazing offensive coordinator, and I'm curious.
And with
to see...
10 openings, like you said last time, come on.
So you're saying you think he's going to get another head coaching opportunity?
Heck yeah, I would swipe him up in a second. Get a quarterback, get a good defensive coordinator. I think it is. I mean, you just can't. It's hard pressed. When you said 10, that number to me was wild, but I believe you. And the more I think about it, I do think there could be 9 or 10. And you can't tell me there's 10 other guys that deserve a shot, right? Like,
yeah.
So by just pure math, he's got to get a shot. I mean, he doesn't have to get a shot, but,
We know right now that the Saints and the Jets are, or we'll call them openings right now because they have those interim head coaches. And we're waiting to see what happens in Jacksonville. Okay, so this is the next big topic. We're recording right now, and at this point, head coach Doug Pederson has revealed that he has not had any conversations with ownership yet. They haven't met.
Which is sort of dirty. Like, or not if you're going to fire him. Like, just fire him already. Get it over with. Like, it's moving in that direction. Talk to the guy.
I think the NFL world is all expecting Doug Pederson and Trent Baalke here to get fired by.
Oh, Trent too. I would.
Okay. I'm in that belief that he will be. We'll see if he survives. Maybe this is what's the delay. But just based on what I'm hearing, it seems that these two are going to be canned.
Good, but...
No, not good.
I mean,
not good. But
not good because, like, when I say good, it's not to be like rude, but like if Doug Pederson's getting fired, Trent Baalke better go. Like they're a team together. If you're starting over, start over. In my opinion.
Chase, the franchise quarterback Trevor Lawrence has regressed. Their owner, who wasn't necessarily wrong in the offseason, said that they have a talented roster, but these guys looked soft to me.
Yeah.
They don't look tough, right? So, and this falls on the coach, right? We've been having these conversations over the last few weeks, I think, about culture builders, identity, trying to figure out what you are, who you are. And I just don't think the Jags ever sorted that out. They never figured. Doug is a good coach. He's another example of somebody that I think knows what he's doing. You played for him. You know what Doug can bring. Yeah. It's just.
I mean, yeah. I think because I spent 3 years with him as an offensive coordinator and then a year with him. But I agree. Like, you are what your record is, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the accountability falls on the head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends back up in KC like Matt Nagy did, just going back to the champs.
Just go back. So this is a team that's really gone back and forth on coordinators under Pederson. Nielsen, remember, came in this year.
Yeah.
So then you just combine that with Lawrence's inconsistent play. We have injuries. And and a kind of this big mess, this hurricane here, and we'll see what they decide to do. But what does that mean for who will take over next? Who is going to be the future of the Jacksonville Jags? So let's get into this, because there's a lot of chatter about Bill Belichick taking that job, and I can tell you that Belichick certainly has his eye on this Jacksonville opening.
Really?
This is an organization that has tons of respect for Belichick. They've got a good relationship already, and this, obviously, there's no connections between Belichick and the Khans yet. But when you think about what they're looking for and what they need there, it starts to make sense. I'm not going to try to sell you on this.
Please do, because I'm very surprised that he would want to go to Jacksonville.
Trust me, I heard your voice when you were like, ugh. So, look, this is a team that's looking for structure. They're looking for good situational football. They're looking for a coach that can maximize talent, specifically on defense, right? They've got solid to good guys on their defense. I know that the Detroit Lions just
solid to good
threw on 50 on them, but the things they're looking for make sense. But the question that I'm going to have about how the Belichick scenario is going to work is, what is going to be the power dynamic? Is he going to get the keys to the castle? Does a castle have keys? Keys to the kingdom?
The castle has huge keys. The kingdom has huge keys.
Yeah, there's
big ring. There's only one key, the gatekeeper key. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is so not the saying. It's not keys to the castle.
Keys to the kingdom, though.
I'm
all for keys to the castle, because before you even get into the castle, you got to go through these big, massive gates, and those gates have keys.
I like what you're saying. So, on our sliced hot cherry pepper scale, the idea of Bill Belichick going to Jacksonville, what is that to you?
That's like a 10 out of 4. That's the spiciest thing you've said today, and probably have said in a long time. I'm all for it. But, aren't there better jobs opening? And, I got to wrap my head around this one.
But it comes back to a little bit of the power, right? Because if they're going to give him, if they're going to give him unilateral control, right? Allow him to do that, why wouldn't he go there? Okay, so let's just go back to 73.
Yeah, I mean, how many years is he going to coach?
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because do you think Bill Belichick wants to go to a place where he's got to establish everything and start it from the ground up? No.
Doesn't he have to do this in Jacksonville?
Not really. You've got the quarterback, right? You got a guy.
Wait, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. No, what you think they have the quarterback?
No, but whatever that voice was, more of that guy. I do.
That was Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares. Come on.
Aware. I think that, first of all, in terms of Belichick's age, let's start there. I don't think this is like a Peyton situation in Denver or even a Dan Campbell situation in Detroit, when it was like, all right, these guys are going to need some time. I don't even think Belichick needs that much time in Jacksonville because of some of. Yeah. Do I think he needs to definitely bring in an offensive coordinator?
He doesn't have enough time.
That can, yeah, right. He doesn't have enough time. Oh, why? What's he doing? He's gonna die.
Oh my God. I mean, how much longer can the dude coach? This is a massive rebuild for me. I just can't. I mean, I get it. He wants the power, but holy cow.
Well, and I'm curious to see what his staff's going to look like, right? You got to figure Josh McDaniels is going to be probably his offensive coordinator. They obviously have a great thing. They've had success together. But look, the question's going to come around, as you know, because you've shared it. Tom Brady was a really big part of his success, Yeah. So we saw what the Patriots were with.
Is not Tom Brady.
No, but we'll see. We'll see if maybe they can figure
this
something out.
This is spicy. That's the spiciest thing you can say to me today.
Yeah, good. Oh, well, we're not done yet. Bears got the bump. New coaching bump, baby. You called it. Because you even said, you're like, oh, maybe they'll play well. I'm like, I don't think there's a coordinator bump. I don't think there's one that exists here. Yeah. Right? Just an absolute heartbreaking loss for the Chicago Bears. But in terms of the spice of this bump to you, give me some spice. Thomas Brown calling a game that made Caleb Williams look comfortable.
Yeah, it was Caleb Williams' best game of his career, and I don't care that like you want to talk about the Jaguars and the Panthers; those were great games. This was against a legit contender who has a very good defense, and he took them down the field in the 2-minute drive and made 3 throws that I thought were exceptional. That 3rd and 19 where he scrambled out of the pocket, found Rome Odunze. Then the 4th and 3, you decide to go to Rome Odunze over Keenan Allen, over DJ Moore, and throw a perfect back shoulder throw. And then what's not being talked about a lot is the throw to Keenan Allen to get them in field goal range. He went up to the line of scrimmage, checked to it himself, was able to throw an out route. Like just the amount of confidence I felt like he played with, and the ball was getting out fast. They were using a lot of motion pre-snap. So, people say you should just go out there and play well. As a rookie quarterback, that's hard. And I think the coaching bump is real. I think that what Thomas Brown probably told him is like, hey, go through your first read, go to your second read. If they're not there, do what you did in college and scramble around, like run the football. Like he ran for a lot of yards. And it's unfortunate because the Bears really should be 6-4. If they defend a Hail Mary and they can defend or they can protect their kicker, you get 2 more wins. So they're 2 plays away. I think it's a real thing.
Yeah. But my question is, now you got to face the Minnesota Vikings next. Okay, so this is a different type. Exactly, this is a different type of defense, and now they've seen a little bit more of what this would look like. It's funny, I was thinking about you during the game because we've had so many conversations about how the Bears have yet to put Caleb in a position where he is leaning on his best and doing his best, the way we've seen the other rookie quarterbacks sort of come into their own at this point, right? Where your favorite Bo Nix developed is who we're seeing the most from. So, look, I wanted to ask you about just your overall feelings about Caleb after seeing this. Like, do you feel even more confident now because you're seeing a different type of offense compared to where we were just a week ago?
Look, they still lost. So, that's like the Bears type way. Like, it's just like heartbreak for the Bears again. But I do think, and I never soured on Caleb. I thought that he played well at times. I thought the last 4 or 5 games he was pressing, and I felt like he played free. And that's sort of the part in the rookie's development where if you can go out there and you can play free and you can just play within the offense. Obviously, Thomas Brown got the run game going really early. I think they ran it almost 30 times in the first half. That just takes pressure away from Caleb having to be at the line of scrimmage, check into the right play at the right time, do this, do that. And I think what we saw out of Bo Nix and Jane Daniels is their first 4 or 5 games was like that, but then they've gotten confidence. They've built up confidence. Whereas Caleb was asked to do everything from game 1 and didn't do it well at times. And that's sort of, a confidence issue with me. So I'm encouraged by him. If I'm ranking the quarterbacks though, like right now, Caleb's number 4 out of the rookies. Yeah. Like I think, and that's hard to say because coming in to the season, he was a generational talent. And I still think the sky is the limit for Caleb. But coaching matters in the NFL more than any other league.
I know, and I think that's the frustrating part about this is an organization that knew what they had with Matt Eberflus last year, and I think they wanted to believe it because those guys showed some fight at the end of the last season. I understood. Totally. I understood why they kept them, but unfortunately, I don't think they really thought big picture when deciding to bring him back in the end. Mike Sando had in his Pick 6 article, I don't know if you saw it, he said that Thomas Brown had Williams under center on early downs 36% of the time, which was a season high for him.
They ran the freaking ball and play action game. Imagine that.
It's the blueprint of what you said to do for Caleb to have success. You said this in August. So I'm just glad that they were able to figure this out. So cherry pepper scale here, 1 through 4.
Yeah, this one's hard. I'm gonna say it's a 2.35 in cherry peppers, and I say that because he played well and he did enough down the stretch, but they lost. They lost, and if they keep losing, my guy Matt Eberflus is gonna get fired, and just 2.35.
Yeah. All right, I like this red cherry pepper game that we played here. Thank you to Tommy Cutlets for doing this. This is what inspired us today. So with all the news surrounding him, we were able to come up with a fun little segment here. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're talking Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. Chase is on the case. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Scoop City, where Chase is on the case. Chase, we're going to take you through some of the film that you checked out for us, and we want you to just share in an easy way of what you're seeing from Justin Herbert and Bo Nix in week 11, because you've been tweeting like a monster about these two quarterbacks. And I'm not saying other people aren't noticing, because they are noticing what these guys are doing on the field, but they certainly are not getting as much love as I think they deserve, and you obviously think. So let's start with Justin Herbert. We saw him on Sunday Night Football. We talk about this Harbaugh effect. I want to start there. What do you think Jim is doing to get the most out of Justin at this point in the season?
I mean, the belief that he is instilling in that entire organization, I think that is the number one thing, and that's really hard to measure, right? Like, can you measure it by wins and losses? I don't know. Can you measure it by how they interact on and off the field? Probably. It's a little bit of everything. Like, Jim Harbaugh's out there catching footballs from Justin Herbert pregame in cleats. Like, that's just sort of how he is.
I know, but you know Justin really well. Like, you've been around him. You were a backup quarterback for him. What is his personality in terms of mixing with Jim, though?
So it's completely opposite. That's what I was going to say. Justin's personality is almost like a hermit. And I mean that in a good way, because he doesn't like the attention. He doesn't like the cameras. You saw him on game day. There was a camera in the locker room, and he was like, "What are you doing in there?" And try to like hide behind a teammate. Like, he hates that stuff. He truly does. Where Harbaugh is like all about it, right? And he's just himself, unapologetically himself. And I think he's gotten Justin to step out of his shell. And I think that's a good thing, because he's instilled this confidence in Justin. Not that Justin didn't have confidence. Let's be real. He had one of the best rookie seasons of all time, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2020. But when Justin's been healthy, like, let's just state the facts. Justin's played really well. Like, you look from week 6 on, he's throwing for 262 yards a game. He has 9 total touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Now, the first 5 weeks of the year, his ankle was hurt. He wasn't himself. He had that foot injury, all this stuff, right? And I think that what Harbaugh realized is, like, we have one of the best players in all the NFL. Yeah, we want to be a run game, a pounding run game, all that stuff. But let's put the ball in our best players' hands. And Dianna, they're doing it, and he's doing it with, like, I don't want to, like Lad McConkey is great. And I think he's going to be an excellent receiver in this league. He's a really good slot guy. But they're doing it with Quentin Johnson, who showed up in this game. But Josh Palmer, Will Dissly is your leading receiver. They don't have a lot of stuff around him. It's not like you had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and all those other guys in years past. And so what he's doing for me is really cool, and he's giving hope to Chargers fans, because I'm not going to lie, when I was watching this game against the Bengals and they let up a 21-point lead, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the same old Chargers. Like, this is called charging. This is literally what we call charging. Like, when stuff goes wrong, it's going to go wrong. But they were able to fight through it. Justin did not play well in the second half. They were able to fight through it, okay? And they were able to go down there with 48 seconds left, 2 huge completions to Lad McConkey to go down and win a game that a lot of people probably thought they wouldn't. Now they're 7-3. This hope is great. Let's just see if they can keep rolling, because they got a good Ravens team coming up.
I know it does feel like Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert are kicking the charging out of the Chargers altogether, right? Which I think in itself is winning the Super Bowl.
No doubt.
So all right. So do you have him as a bit of a dark horse MVP here? I mean,
he's definitely like look. If you're going MVP, it's like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson for me. It's Jared Goff, Saquon Barkley for me, and then the rest is like sort of the rest. Like Patrick Mahomes, you put up there. I would put up crazy Kyler Murray and Justin Herbert in that 4th level. And the way Justin is playing, he's taken the leadership aspect of this team and he's ran with it. And they're a good team. They're playing good defense. I like him as a dark horse MVP for sure.
Yeah, another team playing really, really good defense right now, the Denver Broncos, who just made the Atlanta Falcons offense look just unable to do anything. Vance Joseph, again, putting together a really great game plan. But it's this rookie quarterback who, you know, we've seen some ups, we've seen some downs, and now we're starting to see some consistency from him. 2,300 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 300 rush yards, and 4 touchdowns. and 1 receiving touchdown for Bo Nix at this point. In comparison, is there a quarterback out there doing anything like that?
I mean, the closest one you would say would be Jaden Daniels. And I was just sitting watching the Denver game, even though I know we wouldn't talk about it on like the Fox show that I'm on, but I was like, I love Bo Nix. We went to their camp and we love Sean Payton. And like what he's doing, what Bo Nix is doing is, what were you laughing about?
So I was thinking about the elephant in the room of there have been other sports podcasts who have made fun of us a little bit for being on the Bo Nix train.
Let them make fun. We about to win Rookie of the Year over here.
But I think there's tons of people, if there was a freezing cold take, would be on it right now from what they thought about Bo Nix from the night he was drafted through preseason, through September, and now here we are, and everything we were told, and even some of the things that we saw, and I know the things that you saw when you sat in that quarterback room with him, and you came out, you're like, yo, he is a dude. And I'm like, all right, we'll see.
Yeah,
well,
he's a dog. He's a dog. And the thing that I realized about him when I sat in the meeting room was like, he's really, really smart. And to play in a Sean Payton offense, you have to be smart. So rewind to the first 4 or 5 games of the year. He wasn't playing really well. He's a rookie, right? So I think we just forget, like, the rookie playing quarterback is really hard to do in this league. And so we sort of judged him a little bit on that. We're like, oh man, like maybe Sean was like crazy or something. But they figured out what he does well. And what he does well is in the pocket for me. When I watched Bo Nix in the pocket, the amount of like how comfortable he's gotten over the last 8 or 9 games within the pocket, knowing how to move to the left, move to the right, just barely step up in the pocket. It reminds me of Drew Brees. And that pocket movement stuff is what's so important in Sean Payton's offense because he moves the pocket slightly here and there. And I'm not saying he's going to be Drew Brees, but when he has that development and what I've seen for him in just purely the confidence factor, like I watch him now and I'm like, this dude's playing really, really confident because Sean Payton, I think after the game 4, he stopped babying him on film. And what does that mean? He was doing like little dink and dunks and throwing short. I remember like game 5 or game 6, first 3 shot plays of the game were shot plays down the field, like just open it up for Bo Nix. And he's shown that all these in breakers, all these middle of the field type runs, they're running the ball well. Like they should have won versus Kansas City. And so for me, it's like your record 6-5, Jaden Daniels' record 7-5 or 7-4. It's like way closer to me with the Rookie of the Year race because we want to talk about Jaden Daniels, and I love Jaden Daniels. I really do. But I'm making a case. I'm the unofficial campaign manager for Bo Nix Rookie of the Year.
Oh, really? An official title. Add that to the top of the show next time.
I said unofficial.
We'll make it official here. And look, Sean Payton told us when we saw him in person in the summer that he loved his quarterback. And I've got the proof because anytime I've just checked in, just say, hey, coach, how you doing? Great win. He doesn't say anything back to me except I love my quarterback.
I love my quarterback.
I actually responded recently. I said, you need to say something else. He didn't write back.
That's like a husband blinded like by everything. Like I just love my wife.
He's so in love. He's like Tom Cruise jumping on the Oprah couch right now. Like I'm in love. He's that crazy about it. All right, so we'll see if these guys pull it off here and to see if he'll get Rookie of the Year. The Denver Broncos, they've got the Raiders, the Browns, and the Colts on the schedule. So
all winnable.
So we'll see. We'll be talking about them more. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. Our new favorite segment that we've been hearing from you guys that you love. I'm so glad you love it because we actually love the item. Uncrustables, where we hand out our favorites and our least favorites from the weekend. We'll be right back. All right, Chase, we are back doing our favorite segment, Uncrustables, which we like to dish out to honor things we think are cool from week 11. And we've got to start with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills taking down the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs to begin for your Uncrustable.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, you proved to me that you were the front runner for the MVP. And that says a lot because Lamar Jackson has been playing otherworldly, but what you're able to do with way less has been so incredibly just like a chef's kiss. Because you beat a team who is supposed to be unbeatable. Now, I get it. You beat them in the regular season a lot. But the way you did it, you were patient. 4th and 2, aggressive. That run to me, that run for a touchdown on 4th and 2 won you my first Uncrustable of the week.
You know what's funny about that is you are watching Josh Allen make the best out of the situation he has in terms of this roster, which we know he's played with better receivers, he's played with better weapons. And you look at the guy he's playing, Patrick Mahomes, who in the past has had so much success with so many random receivers as well. And now it's Josh doing it, right? Yeah. It's like Patrick's got all the weapons now, and Josh is finding success and figuring it out without any superstars right now.
Impressive.
So it's been so impressive, especially considering the fact that, you know, a lot of the talk around the league was that this wasn't going to be the year for the Bills. It was the first time where we weren't talking about these really high hopes for them. Yeah. They're always going to be competitive because they have Josh Allen. I did not think they were going to be this good.
I don't think anyone did, including themselves.
The best kicker of my time, I can say, is Justin Tucker, but I am going to take an Uncrustable away from him.
Yeah, we need to take a few.
We may have to take a few because he's missing a few, Chase. Yeah. He missed a 47 and 50-yard field goal in the first half of their 18-16 loss to the Steelers. We obviously knew how vital those field goals would have been for them. 72.7% for the season.
For real?
Mm-hmm. He is at the bottom of the barrel in terms of the kicker's success percentage. So
he gets spicy red peppers in his grape Uncrustable.
Oh my God.
And we're going to make him eat it, and then we're going to take it away.
You're just mixing all of our segments together, and that's disgusting. Would you eat that? Would you eat an Uncrustable with the cherry pepper?
I mean, yeah, probably. Why not?
Like sweet, a little spicy. Sorry, the sounds are very annoying. Sorry to those listeners. All right, your turn.
All right, I've got an Uncrustable for my wife. There is currently, looks like it threw up Christmas all over my house, and I enjoy Christmas a lot, and I got all the stuff down this weekend from the attic, and she put most of it up and has decorated one of our trees so far, and it looks awesome. And I enjoy, in a mood, coming home, even though it's, you know, November 19th or 18th, I enjoy coming home and seeing this. There's lights out, you put the lights off and then turn on the wreaths, and it's a nice vibe over at the Daniel household. So thank you, my wife.
This was perfect because my Uncrustable is to Peter the elf, our stupid elf on the shelf. I decided to take. All right, so
you are Scrooge.
The boys have been just out of control. I think there's just a full moon every night, and I did not give birth to humans. They are wolves right now. They are just biting each other and punching each other. We went to soccer practice the other day, and I said, Mikey, stop. And he looked at me, he said, no. I said, I'm the boss. He goes, I'm the boss. And I had nothing to say back to him because I'm like,
you kind of right. You're kind of the boss. Yeah, so I actually hate Elf on the Shelf. We've never done it, nor will I ever do it, because it is adding another thing to my calendar that I have to worry about. All right, last thing for me here, Netflix. I don't know if I should give them an Uncrustable or take an Uncrustable away. So I'd give them an Uncrustable for somehow, I don't know, booking Beyonce for the Christmas Day show. That's wild. But the streaming issues of the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight were a little bit iffy. 65 million households tuned in. And you know Netflix has a Christmas Day ones. If people mess with their football, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah, they got to fix that because there's no Uncrustable in the world, and it doesn't matter how big it is, if it's grape or strawberry, that's going to make up for the fact that people can't get their football. Yeah. And if people don't get Beyonce, clear. Like, I want to see Beyonce. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I missed that whole rollout on Sunday of this Beyonce show. I don't know. But I was doing something that I know this is going to shock you. I was clearing my emails. I'm like, I need to start fresh on a Monday and clean things out because it got a little messy lately. And I opened up the PR.
How many left unread you have?
Oh my! You don't even want to know. You don't. So my thought was, not my thought. I saw in the subject line it was like Beyonce Netflix. I'm like, maybe she's playing at MetLife MetLife Stadium or something. So I click it. It was like Beyonce playing on Christmas Day, and I'm like,
wait. You found out about this over email?
Yes, her
How
PR.
old can you be? What? It's literally, we're watching the game, we're scrolling Twitter, we're keeping up with the timeline,
I know,
and it's literally in the fourth quarter, it announces it. You find it out over email?
It's unbelievable. I will know about things going on Sunday that very few people will know about. But Beyonce Christmas Day, no idea. Big Beyonce fan over here, by the way. Like no one in my life even texted me like, "Oh, Beyonce, this is cool." Like, so either way, Beyonce, you get every Uncrustable.
Hope she plays some of her old hits, not like the country music stuff. Like the old
yeah,
stuff.
I'm fine with the country. Like, I don't love it. It's okay, but I'm with you. I could do a little Crazy in Love and
This ain't country.
yeah.
Never goes
You like
on.
country though, don't you?
Yeah, but not Beyonce country.
Not Beyonce country. I think that's offensive, but she won't. Oh, you know what? Beyonce, come on, Scoop City. Come on
She ain't
down,
listening
girl.
to our podcast. I'm sorry.
Could you imagine? Like, hey, everybody, next show, make sure you hang out, send in your questions. We got a guest, but just be like really like
Watch
chill
you
about
get
it.
a DM from Beyonce like, hey, don't tell your co-host to stop crapping on my country
Exactly.
album.
All right,
don't
guys.
care.
Well, Beyonce Knowles next time. We will see you here on Scoop City. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget to sign up for the Scoop City newsletter. That is for free. It pops in your email. If you read your emails like me and you go through them, that's where it shows up. So make sure you sign up. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.